The Heartstone of Eldoria, the final triumph. A land in bloom, a shadow falling. Eldoria was a land of vibrant beauty. Rolling hills met ancient forests, crystal rivers flowed towards a sparkling sea. The people, elves, dwarves, and humans lived in harmony. They shared a love for their land and a reverence for the Heartstone. The Heartstone, a mystical gem, pulsed with light and magic. It protected Eldoria, ensuring peace and prosperity. But a shadow crept over the horizon. Malignus, the Shadow Lord, craved the Heartstone's power. From his fortress in the Shadowlands, he sent forth his minions, monstrous creatures of shadow and flame. They terrorized villages, their eyes burning with malice. The elders of Eldoria knew their time had come. The protectors of Eldoria. 3 heroes were chosen, each representing the strength of their people. Arya, the elven huntress, swift and deadly with her bow. Torvin, the dwarven warrior, a mountain of muscle and determination. Kaelin, the human mage, his heart filled with courage, his hands crackling with raw magic. They stood before the council, young but resolute. They swore an oath to protect Eldoria, to defeat Malignus, to bring back the light. Their journey would be long, fraught with danger, but they did not hesitate. The elders bestowed upon them gifts of ancient power. With heavy hearts but unwavering resolve, they set off, venturing into the unknown. The fate of Eldoria rested on their shoulders. Their quest began at dawn. Into the Shadowlands. The journey was arduous. Forests, once lush and vibrant, were now twisted and gnarled. The air grew heavy, thick with the stench of decay. Yet the heroes pressed on, their resolve unbroken. Arya's arrows found their mark with deadly accuracy. Torvin's warhammer crashed against their forms, shattering bone and shadow alike. Kaelin's magic blazed, a beacon of defiance against the encroaching darkness. They crossed treacherous ravines, climbed mountains, each step forward a victory. They faced monstrous spiders and packs of snarling wolves. Through every challenge, their bond grew stronger. Finally, they reached the border of the Shadowlands. A wall of obsidian marked the edge of Malignus's domain. Taking a deep breath, they steeled themselves and stepped into the abyss. The Shadowlands were a nightmare made real. The sky swirled in a vortex of black and purple. Beneath their feet, the ground was barren and cracked. Twisted, skeletal trees clawed at the sky. Creatures of nightmare stalked the landscape. Their journey was a relentless test of their courage and resolve. They faced trials designed to break their spirits. Illusions played tricks on their minds. But through it all, they held fast to their oaths. Arya's keen eyes pierced through illusions. They fought as one, their spirits unbroken. Yet even the bravest hearts can falter. In the face of overwhelming odds, courage can waver, and the strongest resolve can be tested. The warriors had faced countless battles, each one more challenging than the last, but nothing could have prepared them for the darkness that awaited them at Malignus's fortress. As they neared Malignus's fortress, tragedy struck. The air grew thick with a palpable sense of dread, and the once bright sky darkened ominously. The fortress loomed ahead, a menacing silhouette against the horizon, its walls seemingly pulsating with malevolent energy. The heroes could feel the weight of their mission pressing down on them, but they pressed on, determined to confront the evil that lay within. A monstrous beast, summoned from the depths of Malignus's malice, ambushed them. It emerged from the shadows, a grotesque amalgamation of darkness and fury, its eyes glowing with an unholy light. The ground trembled beneath its massive form, and a chilling roar echoed through the air, sending shivers down the spines of even the bravest warriors. It was a creature of pure shadow, its claws dripping with venom. Each movement it made was a blur, a testament to its otherworldly speed and strength. The venom on its claws sizzled as it dripped onto the ground, leaving scorched marks in its wake. The heroes knew they were facing a foe unlike any they had encountered before, one that could not be defeated by mere strength alone. They fought with all their might, their skills honed by weeks of relentless battle. Each warrior moved with precision and grace, their weapons flashing in the dim light as they struck at the beast. They had trained for this moment, pushing their bodies and minds to the limit, and now their training was being put to the ultimate test. But the beast was relentless, its power seemingly limitless. No matter how many blows they landed, it seemed to shrug them off as if they were nothing more than minor inconveniences. Its attacks were brutal and unyielding, each strike aimed to maim or kill. The heroes began to feel the weight of their exhaustion, their movements growing slower and more labored with each passing moment. It struck with blinding speed, its claws tearing through armor. The sound of metal being rent asunder filled the air, accompanied by the cries of pain from the warriors. Each strike was a reminder of the beast's overwhelming power, and the heroes knew that they were running out of time. They had to find a way to turn the tide of battle, or they would all be lost. Torvin, ever the protector, threw himself in front of a blow meant for Arya. His shield took the brunt of the attack, but the force of the impact sent him sprawling to the ground. Arya's eyes widened in horror as she saw her friend fall, and she rushed to his side, her heart pounding in her chest. A scream tore from Arya's lips as she saw her friend fall. The sound was raw and filled with anguish, a stark contrast to the silence that had fallen over the battlefield. She knelt beside Torvin, her hands trembling as she tried to assess his injuries. The sight of his blood-stained armor filled her with a sense of helplessness, and she fought to hold back her tears. Kaelin unleashed a wave of pure energy, forcing the beast back. The air crackled with magical energy as he channeled his power, his eyes glowing with an intense light. The beast roared in pain as the energy wave struck it, and for a moment it seemed as though the tide of battle had turned. But the respite was short-lived, and the beast quickly regained its footing, its eyes burning with renewed fury. But it was too late. The heroes could see the futility of their efforts, the realization dawning on them that they were outmatched. Their hearts sank as they watched the beast recover, its wounds healing almost instantly. The weight of their impending defeat pressed down on them, and they knew that they had to make a difficult choice. The life was fading from Torvin's eyes. His breaths came in shallow gasps, and his once strong and steady gaze was now unfocused and distant. Arya held his hand, her voice choked with emotion as she whispered words of comfort. She could see the light leaving his eyes, and she knew that there was nothing more she could do to save him. "Go," he whispered. "Don't let me slow you down." His voice was weak, but there was a determination in his words that left no room for argument. He knew that his time was running out, and he didn't want his friends to waste their chance at victory by staying with him. He wanted them to continue the fight, to carry on the mission that they had all sworn to complete. With a final, shuddering breath, he was gone. The world seemed to stand still in that moment, the sounds of battle fading into the background. Arya closed her eyes, her heart heavy with grief, and she whispered a silent prayer for her fallen friend. She knew that they had to keep moving, that they couldn't afford to let their sorrow consume them. The light of Eldoria seemed to dim, mirroring their despair. The once vibrant colors of the world around them faded to shades of gray, and the air grew cold and still. The heroes stood in silence, their hearts heavy with the weight of their loss. But even in the face of such overwhelming sorrow, they knew that they had to press on. They had to find the strength to continue, to honor the memory of their fallen comrade by completing the mission they had set out to accomplish. The road ahead was fraught with danger, but they would face it together, their resolve stronger than ever before. Grief threatened to overwhelm them, but they knew they could not afford to falter. Torvin's sacrifice had bought them time. Carrying the weight of his memory, they pressed on. They would not let his sacrifice be in vain. The closer they got to Malignus's fortress, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. Whispers assaulted their minds, trying to sow doubt and fear. But they clung to each other, their shared grief a source of strength. They drew upon their memories of Torvin. Finally, they reached the gates of Malignus's fortress. The gates were guarded by an army of shadow creatures. They had come too far to falter now. Drawing strength from their shared grief, they charged into the fray. The battle was fierce, a whirlwind of steel and shadow. Arya moved like a wraith, her arrows finding their mark with deadly accuracy. Each shot was a prayer to Torvin. Kaelin unleashed torrents of fire and light, holding the creatures of darkness at bay. They fought their way through the courtyard. Finally, they reached the entrance to the fortress. Taking a deep breath, they stepped inside. The walls pulsed with dark energy, but they pressed on, their resolve unwavering. They fought their way through corridors patrolled by shadowy guards. Finally, they reached the heart of the fortress, and there, suspended in the center of the chamber, pulsed the Heartstone. Malignus was a creature of pure darkness. He mocked their efforts, their losses, their hopes. He boasted of his victory. But they refused to be cowed. They had come too far to surrender now. Drawing strength from their fallen comrade, they charged into battle. Malignus commanded the very shadows themselves. He hurled bolts of dark energy, but they fought back with everything they had. Arya's arrows pierced through Malignus's defenses. Kaelin unleashed a wave of pure magic, shattering Malignus's defenses. With a final desperate attack, they struck, shattering the cage of dark energy. The Heartstone erupted in a blinding flash of light. The darkness was vanquished, the light triumphant. News of Malignus's defeat spread like wildfire. The shadows that had cloaked Eldoria receded. The people rejoiced, their hearts filled with hope and gratitude. Arya and Kaelin were hailed as heroes. They were honored for their courage and sacrifice. But they knew their work was far from over. The forces of darkness were ever present, and so they pledged to continue their vigil. Eldoria entered a new golden age. The land healed, the forests bloomed anew. The heroes of Eldoria would be ready for new adventures.